County Board of Commissioners budget public hearing. The purpose of the public hearing is to receive comments from the public regarding the proposed budget for 2002-2003. The people who want to speak, I have at this point is Gunner. So come on up, Gunner, to the mic, please, and tell us what you have to say.
Mr. Chair, one correction, it's 2022, 2023.
Oh, what did I say?
2002, 2003.
I can't even read. So, okay, I'm sorry, it's 2022, 2023. Okay. An error by the chair. Put this on your calendar. This doesn't happen very often. Governor, sorry.
Yeah, my name's Joe Vasquez. I live on 301 Kirklands Creek Road. And the only thing I wanted to throw out to you is I'm not staying really current on the news, but I know that a lot of people are complaining of food shortages, fuel. These things are encroaching and they're going to get drastically worse before they get better. And I just wanted to throw out to you guys that one of the things you might possibly consider is some type of a notification to get from the commissioners. Just tell people to be smart and stock up on food and be prepared for this. This stuff is coming. Now, no one knows the time on any of it, but I was just thinking if you're considering a budget, you might want to put aside a few bucks to maybe get a storehouse filled full of rice or something. If it gets that bad, it gets that bad. I mean, everybody up here pretty much farms or does everything, or has a garden and all that. I'm just saying, it's just a thought for you guys. I know I'm not trying to be a pessimist about what I see or hear, but a lot of people are relating that stuff to me. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Gunner. That's the only people that have signed up. Would anyone else like to say a word on the budget or anything? Commissioners, would you like to say anything? Hearing none, we will make a motion and second to come out of the public hearing. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion, come out of public hearing.
Okay, we've got a motion on the floor. And a second on the floor. Motion second on the floor to come out of public hearing. All those in favor, raise your right hand. And we've got a unanimous pass with those that are here. And this would be an excellent time to say that Danny has informed me that he will not be here tonight, so we are aware of that. Having come out of the public hearing, we will now move to open our regular session. And please stand.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we're grateful for this meeting, for our county, for our communities. We pray your blessing on us. We ask for your leadership, your guidance. We pray for wisdom to make good choices and good decisions for the county. Lord, we lift them up. We lift up our service people overseas. We lift up first responders, those that are sick, those who have lost loved ones in our communities recently. Lord, we're grateful, we're thankful, we're blessed. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Face the colors. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Second item on the agenda is the adjustment of the agenda. Do we have anything from?
Just one item. I was going to ask to table the finance officer's report. The auditors have started their process, so we've done a lot of adjusting entries, so normally we don't do one in May, June, or July. So,
Okay, tell me again, what are we,
the finance officer's report,
oh, the finance officer's report, you want that just tabled, or you want it?
we can just not have it this
Okay.
month.
Okay, do we have a tax collector's report? Oh,
We do.
you've got that.
I
Okay.
got that. Total ad valorem collected year-to-date, or actually for the month, was $56,276.41. Total collected year-to-date is $6,373,267.14. Total collected for month, including back taxes, is $67,896.29. Budget received is, and that should be $6,480,000, and it would be 95%. And the waste fee collected for the month, $14,511.76. Waste fee collected year-to-date is $1,079,184.58. Total collected for the year, for the total year, including back taxes and everything, is $7,756,596.73. The vehicles collected for the month were $40,381.18, and collected year-to-date is $358,289.79.
One quick question, going forward with the state licensing office, is that going to affect this, or is this something totally different?
This is something totally different, so I think you're referring to the DMV being
Right.
closed
Yeah.
somewhat. So anywhere a person gets a tag, whether it be here or Raleigh, if you're traveling and you need a tag, you could get one anywhere in the state of North Carolina, and the taxes would still come to Swain County,
Okay.
as long as they're registered cars of Swain County. So it doesn't matter if we have a tag office or not, they're still gonna get here.
Very good, I appreciate that answer. Any other questions, commissioners? If there are no other questions, I will accept and nominate,
I make a motion, we accept this report.
thank you so much.
A second.
And we've got a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Passed unanimously with those present. As we look at the agenda, we're down to public comments, and I think you went to see if we have any. We have no public comments at this particular time. Moving on down to number 5, action items to discuss or consider. We have the minutes, the budget work session on the 7th, the regular session on the 7th, the 28th work session. All of those have been sent to you, or you should have them. Do we have any questions on those?
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion, we accept this minutes.
All of them?
Yes, all together.
Okay, all right. All the minutes have been suggested that we approve them all at one time. Do I have a second to that?
Second.
We have a second to that, so the April 7th regular session and budget work session plus the April 28th work session, we're accepting with this motion. Any questions? Hearing none. All of those in favor of accepting those minutes as presented, please raise your right hand. Okay, unanimous? Those present? Okay, Swain County Mobile Home Park Ordinance Variance, we've been talking about this. Do we have anyone here?
She is not here, but she is still asking for the variance, so I think we went over that last time.
Yeah, I think we went over it last time and moved the vote to this time. Okay.
Correct.
Do we have any questions on the variance and what is being asked for?
did we agree that we were gonna go just, I think we were gonna get, abide by state guidelines? Is that what we were going to, is that the consensus? Or that we are eventually, we're gonna vote on the variance now, and then we're gonna look at the
Correct, that ordinance, I was gonna bring the ordinance back to you at the end of the month, and with some maybe tweaks with that verbiage in there about going with state policy, and then y'all can, choose to vote on it. It will have to go for a public, 10-day notice, so the public would have 10 days to review any changes to the ordinance, unless you decided, well, actually, and if you decide to get rid of it, you'd still have to do the 10-day notice. So either way, to change it or do anything with it has to be a 10-day notice.
But tonight is just the request for the variance.
Correct. Correct, yes.
Yes, okay, and I want to thank Commissioner Siegel for sending that stuff out to us. I was very pleased with that. Thank you very much. Okay, so right now, the question that is in front of us is the variance of the request. And I think we've all had enough time to look at it and think on it. And what is the pleasure of the commissioners? Do I have a motion to accept it, or we want to wait? What are we going to do?
I make a motion that we accept the variance,
Okay.
but as that said, that we
Right.
go ahead and look at the ordinance as soon as possible.
Okay. Got a second?
That's a second, and then
Okay.
I also want to just make a comment with that, that I think that we discussed that even with this variance, is still in line with the potential
Right.
ordinance. So everything will work together.
And if we decide to get rid of the ordinance, it's
Doesn't
a
matter.
moot point.
So,
Becomes a
yes,
moot point.
Mr. Chairman, I do have a second. That is a
Okay.
second.
So we have a motion and a second to adopt the variance. Any other comments or questions? If not, all of those in favor of accepting this variance to the park situation, raise your hand, right hand. Okay, it's passed unanimously. Okay, approval of Swain County Health Department policies and fees report.
Yes, that's my cue. So I just have a couple of reports to share and some things I need your approval on. The first thing in your packet is an overview of our policies. Allison shares these with you every year. They haven't changed, but we do need to get those approved. The second thing is our health department clinic fees. So we have proposed a slight increase to some of those fees based on our cost for services to provide these services. A lot of our clinic fees are on sliding fee scale, so individuals will only pay a percentage of that fee based on their income. And our environmental health fees, we left those the same as last year. There were no changes to those. Do you have any questions about the fees?
Do we have any questions?
Got one.
Okay, go ahead.
When you say sliding fee, is there a scale, a state scale? Or
Yes.
is it, so it's kind of every
Yeah,
health department has a fee?
it's laid out based on the person's income. They pay 20, 30, 40% of whatever the fee is, and that's given to us by the state.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Any other questions?
I have a question,
Okay, go ahead.
and this is before I forget, because I hadn't seen it in this policies. The Human Services Board operating procedures, are we redoing the board anytime, or?
So there's two boards. There's an advisory board, and then there's a human services board. And I think you're just referring to the human services board, which is the commissioners. So for that one, no. We have always been looking for members to serve on the advisory board. And I think we're down,
I'm working on that currently, filling those slots, and I hope to bring those names to you in the July meeting.
All right. Thank you.
Any other questions about the fees, the clinic fees?
Any questions on the fees, Commissioners?
Okay, the write-off for 2020, 2021, for family planning, we needed to write off $242.08, and adult health, $70. The next thing is the child fatality report. For 2021, we did not have any child deaths to review for that team.
Wow, good.
Our Med Assist event that we just did, I was gonna give you a quick update about that. In your packet, it says that we served over 800 individuals on April 23rd with over-the-counter medications at no cost to them. I got the final count today, and it was actually 972 individuals that we served. We also had other vendors there. We had Kepro and Vecinos. They offered COVID vaccines. And the Coalition for a Safe and Drug-Free Swain County distributed naloxone for overdose reversal and medication lock boxes at that event.
The 972, is that the highest that we've had? I thought it was around 800.
Yeah, it was over 900 last time, so.
Oh, okay.
And the next thing is emerging issues. That's just kind of a general update. We are, as you know, having a severe staffing shortage at the health department, especially in the clinic. So 3 out of 3 RN positions are open, and our WIC director position is still open. All of those are posted. And as you know, I did give my resignation as well, so I'm here through the 1st of June, and Allison's going to be stepping back into the health director role.
Okay.
COVID vaccines, we're still doing those on Thursdays. It's going well. There should be approval or authorization soon for a vaccine for the 6-month to 4-year-old age group, and as soon as that gets authorized, we'll give that as well. The last thing is the 2021 communicable disease report. You have the graphs and numbers there in front of you. I was just going to hit a couple highlights. COVID-19 was the main thing that we did, obviously, for 2021. Hepatitis A is being seen more frequently statewide, including in Swain County. There is a vaccine to prevent hepatitis A, and individuals who meet certain criteria may be able to get the vaccine at no cost. Mosquito-related illnesses have also been more prevalent over the past couple years in Swain County, especially in children. Nothing dramatic, but just something to watch, and just remind people to not leave standing water around their houses and wear bug repellent outdoors. Our sexually transmitted diseases were pretty steady for this past year, nothing unexpected, and no active TB cases during 2021. Our current COVID data remains pretty low. Our community transmission is low. We've seen a slight increase over the last couple weeks, but we're still having less than like 10 cases a week, so right now. And that is all I have for you. I do need approval for the fees and the policies and those reports.
Well, we thank you for your work and what you have done and what you have provided to the health board and all of that.
Thank you very
So,
much.
You know, we understand when there's a change, you know, people have to do what they think is better for themselves as well as their families and that kind of stuff, so we understand that.
Thank you very much.
Okay, what else do we need to do?
I guess I just need your approvals.
Just need a motion to approve the report, the fees, and.
Okay, making that part of the, okay.
Correct.
I need a motion to accept the report as given along with the fees.
I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman. We approve the Health Department policy and fees reports.
Okay. Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor to accept the report as given, along with the policies. Any other questions? Hearing none. All of those in favor of accepting this report, please raise your right hand. Passed unanimously by those present. Okay, we had a special hearing for comments on the budget, and we had none. So, Commissioners, we're ready to approve the 22-23 budget. Do we have any questions before we move on? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion that we adopt the 22-23 budget as given and has been presented to the public. All those in favor? Oops, nope, got to have a motion first, I guess.
I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
We
got a
adopt.
motion to approve the budget?
A second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second on the floor to approve the budget. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed, like sign. Okay, we've adopted it with 3 in favor, 1 opposed. Any other questions or comments on that? Hearing none. Let's move on to the county manager's report.
Last meeting, we started talking about the pool and if it was gonna be open on time, and I'm happy to say I think we're good. They're working on the fence now, all the concrete work's done, it looks great. The pool company was back up there today, getting the pool operational, and so lifeguards, I think, coming in this weekend to start training. We do have 5 lifeguards on staff. So I'm pretty confident now that it's gonna happen. So I will let you know that. We're working on several projects, for the upcoming year, and we're just and I'm gonna give you another timeline. I think I prepared for one back in December. It's almost time for June now, but I try to keep that informed as far as the long-range plan. Looking forward, we've appropriated in the budget the library project, which I reached out to the library folks and indicated we need to make sure that we've got a good set of engineered drawings. No matter if we work on them or if we bid that project out, we've got to have a good set of drawings. And we do want construction management with that engineering company to be on site when that wall goes in. So I do think, because there has been some issues, with retaining walls, and I want to make sure that our staff and the county are covered going forward if we do the job. The animal control facility, I think y'all have looked at that site work going on out there. Did just have some, and I think, I don't know if I mentioned it last time, I did want y'all to start kind of thinking about it. To be honest with you, I can't remember if I mentioned it or not. Maybe looking at a double building approach to the facility and having the employee section in one area and then have a place for adoptions in another building. We've worked with the town on identifying where all the water pipes are and things like that, and there's an opportunity to put the new water line down the new road we put in, and then that way all that building down below, we can utilize that for we'll tear all that down and put a new building right there, and that'll be kind of like the adoption center. So anyway, just some thoughts. We're gonna get back into this once we get going. Also, the Fly Fishing Museum. So I wanted to start and maybe look at both of these projects at the same time, kind of working and get them out of the ground at least going forward. Maybe working on both these projects at the same time. So get that going, and hopefully 1st of June. And that'll be, of course, located at the aquarium. We worked with TDA on the lease. We have a 1-year lease in the current facility for the Fly Fishing Museum. They're paying that for us, just to house the Fly Fishing Museum for 1 year. And then hopefully by that time we'll have the new one operational for them to be moving somewhere. So that's kind of the timeline on it. The other 2 projects we've got on task, which a couple of these will be bidded off. Rec Park HVAC project, and I say HVAC, it's mostly, and so what we got $150,000 for that project. We have $100,000 coming from the House of not the House of Representatives, but the General Assembly through Representative Clampitt's office, and then we had $50,000 coming from Kevin Corbin out of the Senate, and so for the same project. And what we've done is looked at a closed cell type of insulation product that we can take all that insulation out of there that's currently there and do a closed cell insulation and really seal it up top before we start putting HVAC in there. And so that product is about $90,000 to do that building insulated, very good for HVAC. And then we're looking, hopefully for $60,000 we can get about 6 units going down the back side and pushing air out in the front. So that's kind of what we're looking at. We've got some people giving us some estimates on things like that. But just to let you know, it is moving forward. We're trying to get things rolling to get this money spent by 2023. It has to be spent by July 1st of 2023. Also, the event park, which is also a direct grant through the General Assembly, $250,000, and additional money with the TDA has come involved with that. We are waiting on the land swap that we had talked about. Still waiting on a survey. So once we get that survey completed, we'll try to do a site plan. The event that we had, it kind of opened my eyes a little bit. I don't know if anybody went to the rodeo, but there was a lot of cars up there. The entire field was packed. Definitely the parking is going to be a big issue. And then working with the parking and lights. So we're working on all of those little problems before they creep up. We've talked to the neighbors about the lighting and about the event. So we're trying to be sensitive to and respect their land as well. So we're working diligently and trying to figure all that out. But I will have a contractor going up, maybe a site planner to go up and look at the parking lot, just see how we may need to lay it out, and then we'll have some drawings and we'll bring them back and let y'all approve them. So.
Excuse me, just a second. On the parking, are we going to be, depending on the event, of course, are we going to be short of parking, or are we going to be okay, do you think?
I think, we had around 700 people up there the other night, both nights, and probably another 60 people that was with the show, plus, all their trailers and the whole 9 yards. And it was pretty packed, and that was all on our property though. But we did not utilize the new property that we're acquiring. So I think that we should be able to get at least 150 spaces on that new section. And then, we'll work on if we need any more. Ideally, you wouldn't want to put the parking out in the main area. You don't want to asphalt that. Just want to leave it about a yard. So we'll just have to kind of work through that process. I think we need to be cautious on how we lay it out, and I don't know, get a designer or a civil engineer to look at it and give us some thoughts on it. Because not only it's the parking, it's also managing your stormwater, making sure it's not going and affecting down below. Also, all the paving all the way down the road. We're working on all that together. So.
Right, sure. Well, once you get your parking up on the lot,
yeah,
it's paved. It's got to be paved.
correct.
But then you've got your runoff that's going to create,
Yeah, we're
It's
gonna
not
have to get
handled
some
correctly.
studies on that, on the seeing where that's gonna go, and so probably a culvert down at the bottom of the hill is gonna have to be upgraded, probably another cut across, maybe have two, to where it's not, cause you could have a massive river going out through there,
yeah.
if you don't watch it, so we're gonna have to get all that studied, all that done, before we make a move on any of that. The lighting, I did have Duke Energy come up and give us a price on putting a light up there, and this was just their monthly fee. And we're working with them on trying to get just a cutoff switch for that, where it's actually cheaper for us to do the monthly fee rather than to buy poles, because the poles are very expensive. But there's a mechanism we can shut those lights off and just have them on when the event's happening, so.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
So this money has to be spent by when, and do we got to hire an engineer now to start the studying on this other stuff?
Yeah, it's July 1st of 2023, we have to have it all spent.
Any other questions?
So we didn't budget for this engineered stuff, did we?
No, this, I didn't want to skew the new budget too much, because at the time I didn't know, because we've got a lot of different projects going on, so I tried to, any money that was a carryover, where we received it this year, I put it in restricted fund balance, and that way it doesn't, you're not really supposed to budget it that way, you're supposed to budget as it comes, so probably in July, I'll have a budget amendment for these projects. But I just want to kind of go ahead and let you know, I'll probably getting some engineering work started, because it'll probably take 5 or 6 months to get that back, on both these.
All right, thank you.
So y'all have a school meeting on May the 16th at 6 o'clock here. That'll be Monday. And, let's see. Y'all should have received a letter from the Housing Committee. I don't think Joe's here, but at the end of the month, they're gonna have a representative from the group come and talk, maybe a couple of them, just about kind of what they're doing. I have kind of reiterated to them about, we want to know definitions, what is the community thinking affordable housing is, what's the definition. So they've tried to kind of lay that out in the letter. Also, they're wanting to do a survey, which I thought was very, very good, and try to put that out, and that's also in there. But I just want to let you know they are working once a week, and I've been to every meeting, I think, except one, and so they're very enthusiastic.
Does this committee have officers,
Officers,
chair, vice chair?
I think the chair is Isaac
Heron.
Heron. Yeah,
And that's the only one at this point?
correct.
Okay, thank you.
And then, as you know, our main phone system's down. We have 4 phone systems, and what I'm talking about phone systems is just the headsets with the main systems. We have 4 of them total. The main one went out because of the storm last Friday, and they're having a hard time finding the parts, because it is an older system. I mean, we've had that about 15 or so years, which normally about every 10 with technology you kind of replace, but it's been a good one.
But if we have to replace it anyway?
Yeah.
What's the cost differential of new versus replacement?
We're working on that.
Okay.
So we may be going to a different technology, IP-based, cloud-based technology with the phone system, and so we have at 911, we have a cloud-based system. It works very good. And so we're looking at AT&T OneNet, or AT&T Flex is what they call it. And so we did have a presentation yesterday. Mark and I got on there and went over a lot of different stuff. So they're going to be giving us a couple options back. They're on the state contract. We still have to We still have to go through an RFP process because it is, you know, a pretty big expenditure. We usually pay about $25,000 a year just for lease of a phone system. So if you think about over the time, that adds up a lot. So we're gonna try to work with them on a phone system solution and come back to you with it. And it'll probably have to be, I know it'll have to be an RFP process or request for proposal. So, and that's all I have.
Okay. Well, sounds like enough. Okay, any questions for the manager? Okay, let's move on to commissioners' reports, and if you would, please.
Don't have too much, Mr. Chairman. I did go up Friday to the April 29th. I did attend the rodeo that Mr. King was talking about, the event park. It was full. There was a lot of people. I kind of thought I'd go up there to make sure the inaugural event was enough people there, and oh my goodness, there's a lot of people there. So I think it was very successful. I didn't attend Saturday night, but you know, the way that they had people bringing you in and parking you, it went well. I thought it went real well. Of course, you're parking on that grass, and you know, if you have dry weather, there's no issue. I mean, that's not an issue. I think we had some bad weather. We may have to examine that, but looks like we're going to be looking into that. But the way they did it, it went well and seemed to be successful. The only other thing I have, Mr. Chairman, is Monday I attended a Foursquare meeting in Andrews, and I think that's all I've done since our last, or all the meetings I've had since our last commissioner meeting, Mr. Chair.
Anything?
I took a bunch of phone calls, but I'm gonna bring this up in new business, I think.
Okay. Okay, good.
I don't have a whole lot of report. I went by the pool the other day, checked it out, and talked to those guys as well. Been stuck in jury duty since Tuesday, so, back in the real world now, so.
That's not funny, is it?
It's not. That's about it.
Did you go up to Deep Creek?
Yes.
Can you just talk a little bit?
Oh, yeah, I can. Yeah, right after the storm, I went made my way up Deep Creek, checked out, and knew a couple people that their house got called and checked on as well. Mr. Jenkins' house up there pretty much tore the roof off of it. It started looked like it started on the hill right there in front of Travis Hyatt's house, if you know where Travis lives, and worked its way through Barry and Colette, right across that ridge, and went across Deep Creek Tube Center, and fizzled out on the east side over there somewhere. Somebody told me there's a house on the east side that got tore up too, but I don't know exactly where that was at. But this was the west side. It took Mitchell Jenkins on a lot there where he's working on, and there was a maple there that it twisted all the limbs off the maple. They're gone. I'm talking big limbs, not just twigs. So,
Do we know, Kevin, how many twisters or anything that set down tornadoes, or do we know how many it was? Because I drove up there the next day, and I noted that it was, I don't know how one tornado did that much damage in that variation, and I was just wondering if you had heard anything about it.
I don't know, but I do know that I just hearsay,
Yeah, right. Well, that's all.
that it was categorized as a tornado because of the damage that done and some of the videos that I saw.
It was confirmed, I believe.
I'm sorry?
I've got a video of it.
There's a
Yeah.
video of it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a tornado.
yeah, it's been confirmed.
It's been confirmed, you're
Yeah.
right, and so I was just wondering, but it was just confirmed as one, am I correct?
From what I saw, it looked like one from the video and the pictures that I saw as well.
Okay, okay.
But I did check with Mr. Jenkins. He had a place to stay. I was trying to make sure that maybe if we needed help, and I think Kevin put out something about that, Breed Love being involved as well. And had a motel call me and say, hey, look, you guys need anybody, we'll help as well. So, but it didn't look like we needed anything.
Okay. one of the things that I mentioned to the manager, I asked if our EMS was called to up on 72, 74, because of that large truck that wrecked up there and fires and other cars. And the only reason I was asking was that as a commissioner, it makes it easier for us if we want to work with another board of commissioners, if our people respond to different things. And I guess David asked if they needed us, and they said no at that point, so.
Correct. Now, I will say as a side note that this, the driver is recuperating, but, it was our contractor that hauled our trash, so it was actually our trash in the back of that truck.
Oh,
So,
wow.
just
Wow, that's-
FYI, it was somebody close here that we deal with every day, so.
I'm just curious. I had heard, I don't know this for a fact because I was not there, but I had heard that the truck jackknifed. Is that correct? And
Yeah,
if
and
it did, how did that
I've got
happen?
some pictures if you want to see them.
Yeah,
so.
okay, yeah, that's fine, that's fine, okay. And I have also, as mentioned here, taken several phone calls on different issues and trying to get them sorted out and all of this kind of stuff. And they call me and they just tell me what they think is going on. And so then I try to find out if that's what's happening. But I did drive up the next day to look at that. I was inconvenienced with a power outage, but seeing the house that had the roof lifted off, that was kind of a, why worry about it kind of thing, you know, so. But, okay, so. I think that would conclude the commissioner's report unless the commissioners have something else they want to add. Okay, hearing none. The next item on the agenda is the new business. You had something. Go ahead and start us off.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I guess you'd all got the email from Mr. King about the TDA stuff, because on my way home the other day, I heard on the radio that some counties were fighting, and there were some pending laws or in legislation right now about changing the law. And I didn't know if we need to maybe get on board with that, or if it's too late to get on board, or that we probably need to check and be ready to be on board with that, because they were specifically talking about changing the law to where they could spend the money on other things besides marketing for tourism, and I believe that is something that we had been talking about.
We have been talking about that, and I appreciate you bringing that up, because I think that, as I tell everyone, for us, all of the people around us advertise for the area, the park, the reservation, Jackson. All of them advertise this area. And if we have to take, what's the percentage, 75%, 70%, and advertise, that does not make sense to me. I mean, the area is getting the advertisement anyway, Bryson City does.
Correct.
I believe it should be the opposite. I believe it should be, I mean, I get it when it first started, that you're trying to advertise whatever,
Right.
but somehow that should shift,
Um,
and it should go 2/3 for capital projects and maybe 1/3 for advertising, and then even less than that as you go on, so.
And I think that that's an excellent suggestion, and I think that that may be one of the things, as you look into that, please.
Yeah, I can speak a little bit to that, because
Okay.
it's kind of already been, I did reach out to Representative Clampett's office and get some statistics on like when the room tax bill had been created and when was the last time it was modified. And it was last modified in 2007. I think I sent that to y'all.
Right.
But there is a movement, and it's not just counties. It's interesting. There's actually, it's also TDAs and TDA boards throughout North Carolina. The closest one to us is Rutherford County, but Mary Ann Baker, who's our TDA director, actually called me and said, would y'all be willing to help us craft a new bill to where we don't have to spend as much on marketing?
Right.
Because it is, I mean, their budget is, you know, getting pretty much higher, and sometimes you can't spend it all for marketing. Now, they utilize a lot of that services for payroll because, like, they classify, like, the visitor center staff as marketing. You know, so it's, a lot of that's factored in as well, but anyway, Rutherford County is pushing, I think Kenneth had mentioned, you know, it was Buncombe County or the city of Asheville, maybe both, pushing for that. We're not really in, we're in the same category because we're a county, but if we could go with more of a Rutherford County, which is a tier 2 county, and that's a tier 1, that would make more sense than going with a tier 3. You know what I'm saying? So I think if we had that grassroots effort with the smaller counties, I think we're gonna have a bigger push because, you know, even, even the school thing, I was on a conference call earlier, talking about, you had mentioned the salary deal and all that stuff. The 5 largest counties in North Carolina, they didn't give any of their, the state didn't give any money to raise the minimum wage to $15, not even the instructional staff. They make, on those 5 large counties, they make the counties do it. And so like Buncombe County is looking at like a $6 or $8 million request from their school for that purpose. So they don't give, the state doesn't, they just kind of shift money downward. So when you're looking at stuff like the TDA, I think we need a grassroots effort with the rural counties, the small counties, and maybe just tier 1, tier 2, and not think about the big ones. So.
Yeah, I just heard that was in Buckham, the interview was of mayors or something, and they were talking about it, and I didn't realize there were pending, that there were municipalities and stuff trying to fight it. And I mean, I don't want to restrict it just to capital projects for tourism. I want to help pay for adverse effects of the tourism industry, not just,
Yeah, impact.
yes, not just for more tourism. But that was one thing I wanted us to talk about and look into more.
You want me to put that on the work session agenda? Well, I'll try to get some more information.
That's fine.
Because it is time. I mean, they're starting the 18th, I think, which is next week, is the first session. So if we can get that going, whatever y'all want to.
Because tourism really affects the sheriff's department, the EMS, the fire, everything.
Even if they don't have to respond to anything, it still impacts them.
It impacts them from calls, from everything. And
Right.
it's just, and there's other things that we get stuck with. If a fire department goes, unless the insurance pays, I was told that they did pay, I was told they didn't pay, but if a fire truck responds to a wreck, whether they're residents of the county or not, somebody has to pay for it.
Right.
And I don't think insurance covers that, do they? It depends on the wreck, I guess, or something.
You know, I don't have an answer to that. I've never had that question asked. I will look into it. I think usually the people, if somebody's like house burned down, it seems like just the people, I guess, feel like they should give a donation. But I don't know if insurance actually, I don't think there is a provision where insurance has to pay anything.
I've been told there is not. I'm not plumb for sure, but I mean, it affects every aspect from affordable housing to everything,
Yeah,
so,
you're right.
it definitely needs to be looked at.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got something I was gonna bring back up. I brought this up at one time. With the fire protection on Dill's Gap area, Schuler Lake area, that's in Swain County.
Okay. Can I ask you to hold that for just a second? I don't think he was finished with his
Oh, yeah, yeah.
new business, okay? Go ahead.
No, I wasn't done yet, but I had the question about the projects, because I know that we had our main builder retiring
He's not retiring, he's going part-time. So he's,
part-time?
yeah,
Is
so
that gonna affect?
he's still
the
gonna be the
project?
project manager,
So, is it gonna affect him still, or,
it shouldn't affect him much.
so he's not gonna retire, part-time?
Yeah.
And I had a lady stop and ask me about the Health and Human Services Advisory Board. What's its purpose and what it actually does? And who makes the decisions? I told her I thought we made the decisions.
Y'all make the decision. So when we consolidated in 2013, one of the requirements of consolidation was that you also include a Health and Human Services Advisory Board, which is pretty much consistent with the old Health Department Board. When we had a Health Department Board, it was the same membership, was pretty much the same as far as the membership of that board. So basically, their job is to mostly talk about policy. If there's any new health policies or any policies that need to be adopted, they kind of are the ones that vet that or create that, and then bring it before the Health and Human Services Board, which is y'all, and that's kind of what their purpose is. So they've not really met a lot because, with COVID, there's not been a need for any additional policies, earth-shattering part of policies, I guess. And so they've not met. I think the last time we met was in 2019. We did have a meeting of the advisory board during that time, but since then we've not had a meeting. And so we do want to, one of Allison's, and I won't talk for you, but she does, we do have a need for that board to get back up and running. So.
Now, Allison, you're back in as director of the health department,
Yes, sir.
acting director, or whatever it is?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, go ahead and come on up to the mic so people can hear you. Now, you went back into office when, and how long are you there until you get a new director, or what's going on?
Well, currently Amber is still the health director. She'll be leaving, she said the 1st of June.
Yeah.
So she'll be acting health director. I am stepping back into that and handling basically everything new going forward. She'll be
Okay,
working.
So until the new director is chosen, or are you gonna be looking for a new director?
We're kind of looking at different ways that other counties have done it, because it is very hard to recruit a health director. I mean, they do have to have a master's degree. That is a state requirement. And so we're looking at other options that we might could do, like a operations manager at the health department.
Sure.
Allison get to retain the title of Health and Human Services Director and Health Director. And so we're looking at that and just seeing if that would make out a better option.
Right.
So.
Okay. Thank you both. I didn't mean to cut Kenneth off. I just wanted to, while that was fresh in my mind, I wanted to mention it. So,
Okay.
and I apologize to you, Kenneth. So go ahead and whatever else you've got. Thank you.
So to clarify what I was asking about, the Health and Human Services Advisory Board is just that, an advisory board. And
Correct.
they make no decisions, or they come to us and we make the decision.
Right.
No.
Correct.
Right, that is,
And it's an 11-person board, and it's dictated who can serve on that board. Like, it has to be a physician, a veterinarian, optometrist, a dentist, engineer. There's certain requirements. So those are the roles I'm trying to fill with people within the county.
thank you.
Welcome.
How many members are you down, do you think, right now?
Honestly, I think I have
Uh,
all of them except one field, and I was going to talk to Kevin about that.
Oh, is it, I don't know, can you sit on that board?
No. He wasn't going to sit on the board.
I'm teasing.
It's probably the optometrist.
It was, and I thought about including somebody from the clerk's office, since they work so directly with DSS.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Okay, my last thing is
Thank you.
the committee openings and
We have publicized it. It's in the paper.
So it's all in the paper, or have we been given the information for all the replacements yet?
I don't know, but I will ask Cindy if she can just email that out.
All right.
I know, we have 2 TDA appointments coming up. I think one of them would like to remain on there, Cheryl, I believe, and then Ron Rock's seat's coming up, and he doesn't, I think he's already lapsed off. So there'll be one position available, and currently we have no applications, so for it. But I will get a list to you.
And when we do this, I think we need to make sure that people are going to meetings, because I believe we've had some of the phone calls we've had recently is some people's not going, and if they're not going by our own rules, they have to go to so many meetings, and if they don't, we have to replace them. Or we're supposed to.
So, I mean, and I know some of the circumstances, what you're talking about. It is usually a 3-meeting rule, normally on a board. I think this individual is off like 1 meeting, and it was a meeting that was scheduled during spring break that was not a called thing. So it is an item you need to be looking at, but I don't know if it's warranted at this point, but yeah, no, most definitely. That the normal standard night, we would always tell you, usually we get calls about it and we would bring it for us, say we need to look at this. We normally don't have many people that do that, so, but we'll keep an eye on it.
And with that said, I'd like to make sure that any of our committees and stuff, we are having our annual reports, or however we have them set up, that we are getting our reports. And that is all mine. Mr. Siegel, I am done.
Sorry, Kim. So, yeah, I talked to, about the fire protection on Dills Gap, Schuler Lake area. I had a couple calls from over there, a couple people, and so I reached out to Kevin first, and then I reached out to David Breedlove and talked to him about that. And first they said that we were outside the 6 miles. There has to be like a 6-mile circle from a fire department to be able to cover that area. But then after doing the Google Maps and everything, we were within that, like 3-point-something miles. So I reached back out to Breedlove, and he talked to the EM director, I guess, from Graham County. They in turn talked to the Meadow Branch Fire Department, which is the fire department that would cover that area. Meadow Branch Fire Department probably covers that area, it's just never been in writing. So it not being in writing is not accepted by Department of Insurance, and the Department of Insurance won't give that Dills Gap area a better classification because they're not covered in writing. So Meadow Branch would agree that they would do that, but they wanted to look at what our agreement was with like Quala, because that's the one we have. Is that the only one we have? That's the only one we have the agreement with. So I think Breedlove was getting that information to them, and they were going to get back with us. I'm sure we'll probably have to pay something to get them to do that. But it would drop the people in that area from like a class 10 to a class 9, which is a pretty good chunk of insurance monies in that property. And I know we have other areas such as Nantahala, but maybe not fix them all at once, but maybe start fixing them as we can.
Yeah.
So,
And with that, that is a unique area too, because we depend on Graham County to help us with that area, so maybe we need to be talking to them more so about helping, treating them sort of like we treat our own volunteer fire departments, maybe. I mean, we need to talk to them for
Agreed.
sure, and if we need to fund, I mean, that's a section of our county we're relying on them to, because it's a little different than even Quala. Now, still, Nantahala, well, I mean, you got west over there. I mean, there's probably other areas, but that's a long ways away.
This could be our first step, and before you say something, do we not cover, how is that working with Graham County on the tail of the dragon?
With the EMS, it's working good. Of course, we have a collaborative agreement where we would help with Sticko if we needed to, and they would work on the tail of the dragon. We did a few years ago, come up, I guess it's been several years ago now. Anything that they bill insurance for and the amount left over, they just send us a bill. It averages about $3,000 a year, roughly. It's not a lot of money. And so I can see that probably being, maybe with the fire department, I think we pay Quala $7,000 and have for a long time, just as take care of this property. So in that area, talking about service delivery, it is about 1,000 acres. I can't remember how many homes. I'm going to say like 75, maybe somewhere out there. So it is a good area. It needs fire coverage, definitely. We do pay. We do have that trash can out there, the trash area, which we pay about $30,000 a year for that service, because we stopped running a truck out there because we just started hiring that out. Costs about $30,000 a year for that, and then of course the $4,000 a year for the EMS. So we are spending funds out there. It's not that we've not been, but fire coverage has always been one of those. There's certain parts of the main, certain parts of the county that don't have the fire coverage. I mean, the other secluded one would be like Toe String, but we're like on EBCI that handle that part of the property. It's kind of like in that same scenario.
And do we have agreements with the Fire Department of Cherokee to do that?
No, and the reason is because we have different districts, and so fire is one of those things where the county may, it's not a shall. We don't have to provide fire coverage to anybody. We don't have to fund the fire department. We've chosen to do that, and over the years it's been more expected, and it's needed. So usually, like with that, see, that would be classified as the extra 6 mile district of West Swain. So West Swain has always had like verbal agreements with other fire departments to say, okay, we'll cover this for you if you'll cover this section. And
The departments themselves?
Yeah, because we designate that as extra for, it's actually a part of the the Tennessee district, which is West Swain's district. And so once you designate that fire department as that district, anything outside the 6 mile, it's still in their district. They still have to respond to it. Like West Swain still has to respond. But they've chosen to kind of have a verbal agreement with this fire department and say, okay, if y'all can respond, that'd be great. We'd appreciate it. That sort of thing. The county's never really got involved in that. So you really have to make almost another district and say, okay, like Connolly's Creek. I mean, we kind of segregated that out when we went with Quala. That would be in the Tuckasegee district, which would be the Bryson City district. So it wouldn't be in the 6 mile area. It would be ancillary, I guess is what you'd say. So we would have to create basically another district and say, okay, well, can you cover just the tail of the dragon area, and we'll classify that as, Tennessee 2 or whatever you want to name that district. So you actually almost create another district when you do that. So, I mean, it can be done, and Department of Insurance is very particular on that because they go back to all these insurance companies. That's where all this comes from, and it is all about funding and money and that sort of thing. But
Okay, but excuse me just a second, if we start doing this, as pointed out, my concern is that we can do it, put it together right, rather than getting pressured because you did it here, now do it here.
correct.
And so I'm just concerned about that. But I agree, people need coverage, they've gotta have it, that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
So,
And we may not be able to do all this stuff. I have no idea, but if they're within a range, if somebody's within a range of something else, there ought to be a way that they can work it out if they're within the range of a fire department. I don't know.
So you choose the fire department that's going to serve the districts. So even if like say we gave money to West Swain and they paid that organization in Graham County, the Department of Insurance wouldn't qualify it because this board, your board, has to say, this fire department is covering this section of this people. You know what I'm saying? So it's, that's the deal. It's all about it's not even about money right now, 'cause they really don't have the authority to come in. We've not given them the authority to come into Swain County.
So there might not be nothing we can do anyways, and it might not matter.
Well, no, you can do it. It's just how much are we gonna negotiate?
Once we
a rate
start
for?
doing it there though, then it'll be everywhere else in the county, we'll have to make a district.
Well, there's only
to try
two.
to-
It's only that one that'll be Cherokee, but I know there's enrolled members on Toe String, so I don't know if they would even, you know, I think it's just another part of the, I don't know.
It is.
I mean,
It is, but on Toe String, there are also a lot of non-enrolled members.
exactly, so I mean,
Somebody's got to cover that. so.
yeah.
But
That's
there's
part of
probably,
Swain County,
there's
so.
probably other areas of the county not covered, not within the
6 miles,
range
yeah.
of other fire departments, so. But if we're gonna be looking at the districts and paying firemen and stuff eventually, like we've talked about not long ago, then, I mean, it's something we'll probably have to look at, because if we're going to do that as an option, and if people want these services and they need to pay for them, and we're gonna split them into districts, then we're gonna be doing some of this, so it's at least something for us to talk about.
Does the county have paid personnel, fire or David, fire, who can actually sit down and look at this and
Oh, yeah.
give us some recommendations as to how we should begin the process anyway?
Right, yeah.
Okay, why don't you, if you would, just add that to your list of, since you don't have anything to do anyway.
Which this goes back to, we're supposed to be talking to the fire departments about all the other stuff that we talked about before.
Right.
Which that was in the beginning of the budget process when we talked about that, and I know it ain't in this budget, but it was
Still in
something
touch, yeah.
we talked about it.
It may be later on, but not right now, so. And we don't know until we have a plan. Okay, was that all you had?
That's all I had.
Okay.
That's it.
And you had the fire thing, so that was the only thing you had?
Yes.
Okay.
Before we do move on, Mr. Chairman, since we do have this letter, I did have a phone call from a committee member, pretty much asking me what they were supposed to be doing. And I thought that we'd laid it out pretty clear what their main job was supposed to be for, but I think we need to work to try to keep them on task as best as possible.
I think we can do that.
Thank you.
Okay. Did you have anything? Okay. All right, next item on the agenda is closed session, and we have no reason to go into closed session tonight, am I correct?
Correct.
All right, gentlemen, this is the best part of the meeting, right here. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, hold on just a second. Sheriff, would you like to address anything, any issue?
I was just thinking, as you all were talking about fire coverage and Bill's Gap, I don't know how the fire departments or EMS work. I know what we do for law enforcement. I have an understanding with the Graham County Sheriff's Office for anything that's minor, simple, they're gonna cover that for us. If it's something major, they're gonna call us and we're gonna respond. And in turn, we do the same thing for them for Solly. And we have a little, something in our toolbox called a mutual aid.
Right.
And in the previous years, I had to have a resolution from the County Board of Commissioners to enter in to mutual aid agreements with other counties. Now I don't have to do that. All I have to do is just send a message by text, telephone call, or whatever to another sheriff's office and tell them I need help, and we'll go help them. That happened just this past week during that wreck. Jackson County Sheriff called me and said we need help up here with traffic control, so we went into another county and assisted them for about 4 hours up there. And if I call them today, they'd be here to help us. And I know that fires in the county, I've saw several different fire departments fighting a single fire. If it's a structure fire, you're gonna see a Larka, West Swain, Bryson, Cherokee, Qualla, all of them come together to try to extinguish that fire. And I'm sure that would be the case anywhere in the county or outside the county. And again, if those other agencies needed help, I'm sure that everybody from here is gonna go help them just as they come help us.
Right. And I think you're right, and that's a good way to look at this, you know, reciprocating where the need is. But sometimes for the insurance purposes, we're gonna have to have a written agreement that this group is gonna cover that. So I think that's, am I correct?
Yeah, I mean, Meadow Branch is mutual aid. I mean, they're gonna show up. That's,
Yeah, right.
that's fire department protocol. You go to a
And I
fire,
think
wherever it is.
Yeah, I think anyone who's in your business and EMS as well is not gonna sit back and watch a fire or an
Right.
accident, you know.
Well, it takes a long time to get from here to Deals Gap. It takes me about an hour to get there.
Yeah.
And just tell you about the last call we had out there. We had a call in the middle of the night that a guy had shot himself in the leg, and I don't want one deputy going out there by themselves because there's no phone service and usually no radio service. Well, he missed his leg and shot himself right under the chin.
Oh, my.
He was dead on scene when we got there. But it takes a while to get out there to take care of that stuff. But Graham County had responded to that, thinking it was a flesh wound to the leg. And
Wow. Okay. Thank you.
as you all know, the grant that was presented here a couple of weeks ago, there was $84,000 in that for the sheriff's office, and we're buying needed equipment. We just upgraded our tasers. We're upgrading our laptop computers. Just to put this in perspective, a laptop computer now, Michael, if I'm not mistaken, is about $1,500 per laptop. The tasers we used to buy for a taser and a holster was about $800. Now they're $2,500. So that money goes really quick. And we just got another grant awarded this week. It's an ICAC grant, ICAC, Internet Crimes Against Children. And that's to buy software so we can search phones, get into phones and see if anybody is recording, disseminating child pornography. So it's going to be a big help for us. You'd be surprised how much of that goes on. And both those grants are no match grants, so.
Best ones.
Best ones, yes. The last one I told you about came from the Sheriff's Association.
How much did the association give you?
Well, we got $46,070.
Wow. Good, good.
That's all I've got, unless anybody got some questions for me.
Any questions for the sheriff? Thank you, sir. Okay, now we'll move to the thing we've been looking for.
Well, I'll make the motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Motion and a second on the floor to adjourn. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Passed unanimously by those in attendance. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Good job. Good job. Thank you, Sheriff. Appreciate it.